So the idea of curation brings to mind an art gallery owner. An art gallery owner doesn't create the art, so instead they go out, they look high and low, and they try to find all the best artists in the genre and then showcase them in their gallery, right? A gallery owner profits from the time and energy that they put into doing all of that searching, and usually they profit by getting a commission when they sell a piece of the art that's featured in their gallery. Similarly, they always credit the actual artist as the creator. They never claim that they're the person who made the art. They simply curated it, featured it, and then as such, they get a commission when it's sold. Now, ambitious gallery owners can sometimes go out and write articles and throw cocktail parties and teach classes, maintain email lists, direct mail lists to reach out to the art buying community in other ways and educate them about art as a whole and about the specific work that's currently in the gallery that they've curated. So essentially, boil it down, right? They find the very best stuff, they showcase it, and then they drive traffic to it in one way or another. In return, those gallery owners gain notoriety as an expert, and they gain commissions on the sales that they make within their gallery. So it's not so different from what a webmaster does who uses curation. So as part of curation for you, you'll find the most exciting, the most relevant, the most newsworthy information in your niche. You'll publish those best snippets of the best content on your site, and you'll always attribute the original author. And then you'll drive traffic to that content on your site, and you would benefit from that via the advertising revenue like AdSense, clicks, or affiliate commissions, or through sales of your own products on your site. Now, the original author of curated content on a website still benefits as well. They get recognition as an expert because they produced something that someone else found worthwhile. They get a backlink from your site to theirs. They get click-throughs from your site to theirs as people read your article and they'd like to see the full version or find out more about this person. But let's take a look at what curation does for the reader. So why would your site visitors appreciate you doing the work of curation for them? So let's take a look at a statistic from Google's CEO or former CEO, Eric Schmidt. He said, every 2 days we create as much information as we did from the dawn of civilization up until 2003. Now, that quote is at this time over a year old, and you can safely assume that the number's gone up even higher. But remember when we talked about the Google caffeine update and how part of its purpose was to index new content even faster than before? And the difference of being able to update their index over just a few minutes as opposed to 2 weeks. It's this massive amount of data that Schmidt is referencing that has to be indexed and then sorted and then served up to Google's users. And users are out there creating massive amounts of content online, if it's videos, pictures, or just text, or social network profiles, whatever, but they're out there creating tons of content. And just like Google had to adjust their approach to search to account for that massive amount of content, internet users are adjusting their approach to using the internet as a whole. So somebody who's a fan of running, for example, simply cannot read and digest every single article, every how-to, every video, every image, every new medical study related to their hobby that comes out every single day because there's just too much information being created. And then, take into account too that there's just no need to digest every piece of information that's coming out. Because most hobbyists, people with an interest in a field, they just want to know about the best and most important and interesting content. They don't need to know about every single piece of content. And that is where you become the curator. You go out there, you find the best, the most interesting, the most important stuff in your niche, and you serve it up to your site visitors on a silver platter. So people are searching right now for someone that they can trust to do just that in your marketplace. Now keep in mind, everybody's something of a curator now. Even if it's just as simple as sharing a funny YouTube video with your closed network on Facebook, you're still a curator. So being a curator in your marketplace isn't really that much of a leap from what you're already doing, is it? You're already familiar with the concept, and your site visitors are already familiar with the concept. So those amateur runners, those hobby gardeners, the gamers, they're all looking for the very best stuff in their niche. And if they can trust you to give it to them, They'll repay you over and over again by returning to your site day in and day out to get their fix of information in that niche that they are so passionate about. So when you show them, when you're feeding them that most important stuff outside of all of this noise that they want to know, you become a leader to them in your marketplace. And when you curate the content, the best stuff, and you comment on it, that's when people start looking to you as a real thought leader. So you direct folks to the best of stuff, the breaking news stuff, but you also have an opinion about those things. You don't want to be another parrot. There's plenty of those even in the way of auto blogs and Twitter streams that just republish other people's content based on a keyword match. They're not adding any value in terms of an opinion or, hey, how does this apply to your situation? But they're saying, here's this information, period. So parroting like that doesn't even require human intervention. But the careful curation that we're talking about here absolutely does, and that's why it's such a valuable strategy for market leadership. So remember, in the economy of the web, the real currency is attention. So you might not make the sale on your very first interaction with a website visitor, so you need to have their attention in order to keep them coming back for more. Curation puts you in the position of being the go-to guy or gal in your marketplace, and when you're the person that those site visitors can trust to find the best of the best, then you'll have their attention. I personally would much rather have somebody's attention rather than an email address to an inbox that they never check, right? Unfortunately, the world of SEO is riddled with all kinds of misconceptions, so before we get any deeper into curation, I'm going to address the concerns that some folks might have as to duplicate content and how that does or does not affect the curation model. So, big drum roll here, duplicate content, I've got that in air quotes, does not affect curation. So let's take a peek for everybody who has been misled in the past. Let's take a peek at directly what Google says so we can put the whole thing to bed to rest quickly and never have to address it again, right? So Google says that if you syndicate your content on other sites, Google will always show the version that we think is most appropriate for users in each given search, which may or may not be the version that you would prefer. They also say that duplicate content on a site is not grounds for action on that site unless it appears that the intent of the duplicate content is to be deceptive and manipulative and to manipulate search engine results. Pardon me. So Google is saying, they are not saying specifically that if they find this string of words somewhere else, that it's no good on your site, right? And that'll knock you out of the index. But to keep our noses clean, keep everything totally above board, we always comment when we curate. So we wouldn't just post somebody else's paragraph, even if we thought it was really, really good, without some sort of an intro, a thought, or another bit that we added to it. That kind of commenting or addendum to what we're posting is what Google wants. It wants you to be adding value, and it's also what your site visitors want, and it's what makes you that big shot market leader. So it's a easy peasy decision. We comment what we curate. So let's give you some examples of curation. We can look at breaking news. Your audience wants to get the goods from you. So when there is breaking news in your world or in your niche, you've got to firstly know about it, and we'll discuss the tools to keep you informed like that in another video. But you've also got to explain to your readers what that means to them. So it's one thing to say, Google's rolling out a new update called Caffeine. And it's another entirely more valuable thing to say to your audience, Google's rolling out an update called Caffeine, and here's what it means to you. Here's what you need to do about it, if anything. Right, so here's another example of curating breaking news, but it's a little bit more recent. So Facebook changed their news feed. Oh my. So my role isn't just to tell you, oh, Facebook changed their news feed, but it's to explain how it might be affecting people and show people how to change that effect should it be undesirable. So in this case, I did that by filming a short video to explain my thoughts and a how-to. I published it on my blog and I published it on Facebook. So another example of a way that we can use curation is a best of blog post. So you round up the top quotes, the top posts, the top videos of the week, mash them all up in one big blog post on your site. You always link back to the originals with a little explanation as to why each one was special. Not a big deal, right? But your readers will thank you for directing them to the cream of the crop, and the original authors, of course, will thank you for both the link and the traffic and the recognition. So don't ever be afraid to link out to something that's great. Don't be afraid of losing readers to another blogger or another site. Share the good stuff. Share the absolute best stuff, and your readers will keep coming back to you because you were the one that found it for them. My favorite part of curation, this is just me speaking, but maybe you can identify, it's not the fact that it helps you become a market leader, because I'm a little bit more lazy than that. My favorite part of curation is that oftentimes it feels like a lot less work than doing original work all the time. So remember, the gallery owner doesn't make the art. It's impossible, unless you're one of those poor AOL Content Factory workers chained to a desk in some sort of publish or perish model, but it's impossible to publish and create really, really, really great blog posts several times a day. I mean, I can't even squeeze that much really, really, really good tweets out of myself each day, you know? So part of curation also, you know, is that you're feeding your brain with the work of other people. So sometimes you will find that you get incredible ideas for your own original work simply by exposing yourself to what others are doing. But back to curation specifically, what's great about curation is that it allows you to be present in your marketplace every single day. That is, getting out there, putting content out there, putting opinions out there, putting great things that your readers will enjoy. It allows you to be present in your marketplace like that every single day without having to produce a giant epic novel on your own every single day. So you find something that's cool, you share it, you add your 2 cents, and that's a heck of a lot less work than composing some crazy long blog post every single day, right? So before we get into the specifics of how to do the curation model, I want to show you a couple examples of curation so that you've got a feel for it.